The European Union has agreed to open membership talks with Ukraine. Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky is celebrating the news after a tough week in Washington, trying to convince U.S. lawmakers to give the country more funding to combat Russia's invasion. The announcement comes on the same day Russian President Vladimir Putin held his annual end-of-year news conference. Speaking about Ukraine, Putin said the war will not end until Russia has achieved its goals. For more on this, let's bring in former U.S. Ambassador to Ukraine, William Taylor. Mr. Ambassador, it's great to have you back again. Putin says there will be peace in Ukraine when Russia achieves its goals. What are those goals, and did you hear anything different today in Putin's characterization of them?
No real difference, John. He has had this odd idea that he is going to denazify Ukraine. He has the sense that the Ukrainians are run by Nazis. He brushes over the fact that the Ukrainian president that you just showed there is Jewish descent, but Putin also talks about neutralizing or demilitarizing Ukraine. Now, what this means is he's not given up on any of his goals. And I will say that the Ukrainians have not given up on their goals either. The Ukrainians have a simple goal, and that is just to get the Russians out of their country. Putin has this odd goals. The Ukrainians have a simple one.
I want to run something by you that Putin said. He said, when internal changes happen in the United States, when they start respecting other people, other countries, when they start looking for compromise instead of trying to resolve their issues with sanctions and military intervention, then the fundamental conditions will be in place to restore fully fledged relations. So far, such conditions are not in place, but we are ready for that. That sounds like a campaign endorsement for whoever is not Joe Biden.
You're right. And that's his only strategy. Putin's only strategy in this war on Ukraine is to wait us out, to wait the Europeans out, wait the Ukrainians out. The Ukrainians won't be waited out, John. They are there. They'll fight until the end, the very end. So Putin's only hope is that there'll be some political changes in Europe. So far, he's only gotten one or two. And he's hoping there'll be political changes in the United States. And that's his only strategy.
According to a U.S. intelligence assessment, Russia has lost 87% of its troops that it had prior to the start of the invasion of Ukraine. Putin, of course, boasted and was confident in his remarks today. But what is your assessment of the state of things at this moment?
I think it's a dynamic, violent deadlock. That is, there are fights going on in both directions. The Ukrainians are pushing into the occupied territories. The Russians are attacking in other parts. One thing that we haven't talked about a lot, John, where the Ukrainians have actually had big success, is pushing the Russians out of the western part of the Black Sea. Now, the Russian Navy doesn't have the ability to make the same patrols in that part of the Black Sea because Ukrainians have used their own weapons and some Western weapons to shoot down, to sink many of the Russian ships. So the Russian ships are now staying out of that. So it's a deadlock on the ground. The Black Sea is one area that the Ukrainians are doing well.
So you mentioned munitions. As a final question, how should we think intelligently about the clock that ticks while President Biden tries to get this $61 billion in aid to Ukraine? I mean, it's obviously held up. There might be something in the coming weeks, but are we in a dire situation in terms of Ukraine and getting this money to Ukraine, or could the situation be okay if it takes a little while?
John, I think it won't be okay if it takes a little while, and that's the urgency. That's why President Zelensky was here. That's why President Biden has been pushing so hard. Probably why President Biden and the others in the Senate in particular are working through the weekend in an attempt to come to some kind of agreement this week so that early on, either next week or very early on in the new year, they can get these weapons and ammunition to Ukraine. It's dire. The Ukrainians need the support.
Former U.S. Ambassador to Ukraine, William Taylor, thank you so much, as always, for being with us.
Thank you, John.